Alright, hello everyone. It's been a minute since I did one of these. A long time, a year now. But nevertheless, why not just get a wee prediction video out on the card? Might do one for the ending card of each year, who knows? But let's see. Right, so um, right, so we're gonna break down UFC 269. At the end of the video, I will show my pre-fight bet for the card, but by the time this video's published, I might have another bet because I still have to look at some. I still have to finalize the entire card. I mean, I've done like 80% of it, but I haven't looked at the Fight Pass prelims yet. So these four fights here will not be. I'm not gonna break them down, because I haven't finished up tape on them yet, and because they're low priority, those fights for me. So they are, just in terms of name value and all that type of stuff. So, what was I gonna say? Right, so we'll start from Aaron Blanchfield versus Miranda Maverick. So I looked at this fight last night. It's two good prospects, right? And realistically, the loss that Miranda Maverick has in the UFC, that's a win. Against Macy Barber, that's a win, no doubt about it. I don't know what the judges were thinking with that fight, and I remember betting Maverick live by decision after round one, I think it was. And it's a bad decision that one, so it is, right? So in my book, she's 3-0 in the UFC. And see, to be honest, before Aaron Blanchfield fought Sarah Alpar, I was not aware of Blanchfield before it. And I know it's Sarah Alpar, she's not good at all, cut by UFC at this point, but that was a good performance from Aaron Blanchfield, so it was a very good performance. I was actually very impressed with her. She's one of those people that, like, she might not be the most technical, she's still young, she's only 22, but she is just like a marauder. Just comes forward, just a lot of grit, and when I watch her, I just sort of think in my mind, like, she's a winner. She's a winner. She's not gonna flick. That's probably a better way to say it. She's not gonna flick. She's just gonna keep going, and she's not gonna give up too easy or be submissive. That's one thing I've learned this year. Like, see betting on submissive fighters in the octagon, like who give up positions, who give up clinch exchanges or anything, or just control in grappling areas in general. It's one of the most annoying things you can do. I don't know what's more annoying, someone being low output in terms of activity volume, or someone being submissive with grappling exchanges. Both equally very, very annoying in my books. So yeah, so very good performance from Aaron Blanchfield against Sarah Alpar. Then if we look at Miranda Maverick, she's basically come into the UFC, and she's not the final product yet, but she does have all the ingredients to be a contender of sorts. And she's a brick shithouse. She's very, very strong. She grew up like a farmer girl on the field, so that's why. Like, see if you look at her shoulders and all, big upper body for a 125-pound lady. But yeah, she's very physically strong. So in terms of grappling, her physical strength might edge her over Blanchfield. But this is the thing: both fighters like take the front foot. So the Blanchfield is in your face. She wants to get you up against the cage. She wants to, hit you with strikes against the octagon fence, or she wants to clinch you up and just single collar tie, dirty boxing, just getting off strikes against the cage. Sorry. So, she relies on getting, pressure and fighters behind the black lines, but Miranda Maverick, she can fake going backwards, so she can't, but she mostly likes to come forward. She likes to keep the other fighter kicking distance. With her mostly pressuring forward. No, like so she has you in her range. If you watch her, like she doesn't like someone to come too close. She likes to have her safe, like so to speak, safe space. And then that's where she works off like some of her kicks, straight punches, stays long, and then if they come too close, she would shoot in. Right, so the line for this fight, right, so Blanchfield's the favourite, -140, -135. Right, so that's kind of understandable. Personally, to me, it's a pick 'em. I don't know who's gonna win this. I don't know. Right, so it's a very hard fight to call because when I was taping this fight, at the end of it, obviously I'm very familiar with Maverick, but at the end of tape, I was just thinking to myself, like, right, so basically, how I kept this fight is that it's hard to cap, someone as the favourite or this fight entirely because I don't really have a great read on it. There's a lot of questions to be answered with this fight. So if you notice just a wee breakup of the video there, wonder what happened, my recording software was just playing up, so I had to cut it off and restart. But I'll still have the previous thing I recorded, so don't worry about that. Right, so it's just gonna continue. So what I would say for this fight is, so Maverick, slight favourite, -138, and there's money coming all over the place with this one. Personally, I'm just gonna stay away from it. There's a lot of questions to be answered. Yeah, so I'll just move on from this one. Probably spent too much time on it than I had meaning to, but it's a good fight between two prospects. But there's a lot of questions to be answered. Blanchfield impresses me. Also, while Maverick is very skilled, is what she's proven to this point. So I'm just gonna stay away. I don't have a strong prediction or read on it. So Andre Muniz versus Eric Anders. This is actually an interesting fight. It's intriguing style matchup. So since moving to Fight Ready, Eric Anders has looked better with the two performances against Darren Stewart. So he basically ran through him in the first one, and then the second one he did beat him decisively, but it wasn't as convincing as the first one. That fight was it was contested against the cage a lot. But listen, Andre Muniz, I remember betting on him 2 units +110 against Jacare. And it was funny with what Joe Rogan, DC were saying. Like, they were saying it's crazy for Andre Muniz to be shooting a takedown on Jacare because Jacare is by far the best grappler. And in my head, I was just going like, you boys don't have a clue. Like, Andre Muniz in his prime against a washed Jacare, doesn't matter. Andre Muniz is just a better grappler. He's I can't remember what his actual credentials are. Let's see if it says here. I think he's a 2nd degree black belt or something like that. He's very credentialed, very good on the ground. Basically, that's all you need to know. His armbar is from the bottom. It's a thing of beauty, as we've seen against Batoris Fabinski. Fabinski shot down. Andre Muniz was willing to take the shot. He was actually alright with being taken down because he knew, yeah, you want to take me down, I'll just submit you, So Eric Anders wants to keep this on the feet. He doesn't want anything to do with Muniz on the ground here. That would be a very stupid decision. In terms of overall skill, not factoring in style matchup, in terms of overall skill, Andre Muniz is better fighter. Better overall fighter. We've sort of seen what Anders has to offer at this point. He's 34 now. He's a veteran. He's a UFC veteran. He's been fighting in it since 2017. So we know what his ceiling is, what he's all about. With Muniz, I think his ceiling is still yet to be reached. His striking, it's alright, it's decent. He's southpaw, he has a good body kick. But Anders has the advantage there. Muniz, his wrestling's actually not bad for a guy that trains and fights out a Brazilian camp. His, freestyle wrestling isn't bad. Good double leg as seen in the Jacare fight. And in the Ohio fight, he was taking him down several times. So decent, takedowns. And then just a jiu-jitsu game that tops it all off, really, is, the cream of the pie, or the cherry on the pie, whatever you want to say it. So, the odds in this one, minus 145 and it's actually money's coming on him as fight week goes by. So, minus 145, listen, I can see why people have sort of bet that number, or, what he was earlier in the week, minus 135. I can understand it, but personally, I would be willing to pay that price if he didn't have a advantage, or if he didn't have a disadvantage in one, big area of this fight, which is a stand-up. Eric Anders, he's a very good athlete. He came from American football career, transferred basically them skills into MMA, so to speak, and the athletic skills that he had from, just generally. So he came over from there. He's a beast. If it stays on the feet, I expect Eric Anders to win. But if Muniz mixes it up, then I would give the advantage. Obviously, Muniz, I think, would win with that, especially if he gets the takedown. If Eric Anders doesn't defend the takedowns, then he's fucked, basically. So let's just look at Eric Anders' takedown offense. It's 76, so very good. He did get taken down twice by Darren Stewart, but if I remember, he got straight back up. But see, even if he does, even if that is the case, Muniz is just gonna hang on to your back. So if Muniz shoots a takedown on Anders, and Anders gets back up against the cage, then Muniz is just gonna, he's just gonna go into backpack position, or, whatever, take the back. So he is. So basically, Eric Anders can't afford for this fight to go into grappling exchanges for significant periods of time against Andre Muniz. He can't afford it. So what did this fight open? Let's see. Minus 125. So originally, the line was narrower, according to Ref, aka betonline.ag. So, minus 125. I would say this line, minus 140, I would say accurately depicts this line. But personally, I'm going to stay away from it because, as I was saying, Anders got the advantage on the feet. The fight obviously starts off on the feet, and it's Muniz's desire to take Eric Anders down, who has decent defensive wrestling. So, I can understand why people's betting Muniz here, but personally, I'm just going to stay away from it. Overall, I'll go with, do you know what, I'll pick Muniz by sub, so I will. But not very confident. I think he's the better fighter, but who knows how this will play out, basically. So Bruno Silva versus Jordan Wright. I mean, the line sort of tells you what you need to know. I didn't even look in this fit, really. So minus 340 for Bruno Silva. The under's interesting, minus 158, so people have obviously got on that. Or was it originally set at minus 150? Alright, fair enough. So basically, Bruno Silva, this guy's a... Is this the guy I'm thinking of? Robocop? No, that's a different guy. Yeah, so he came in against Andrew Sanchez. Andrew Sanchez couldn't get him down. Basically, Bruno Silva picked him apart on the feet. He was just too much for him physically, technically on the feet, and he ended up KOing him. So this guy's a KO artist. So basically, I expect this fight to end quick. I do expect the under 1.5 rounds to hit here at minus 159. So, you know, Jordan Reid, I'm not too big on him. I'll have to say, I'm not very big on him. I think UFC have been generous with their matchmaking up to this point for Jordan Reid. So, Ike Villanueva, that was a weird one, actually. You know, Jordan Reid obviously did beat him, but it was a cut. Ike Villanueva didn't go out or anything. It was a big knee up the middle. And then Joaquin Buckley just walked him down. Basically, just knocked him out, you know. End of the first round, he had him in big trouble. And then the second round, he was basically rendered defenseless from the opening bell for the second round. So, and then he rebounded with Jamie Pickett. But Jamie Pickett's not the best fighter. So he's not. I'm actually surprised that Jordan Reid finished him. So, fair play in that regard. But see, even if Jordan Reid does come out in the same way that he came out against Jamie Pickett, then he's going to leave himself open. Because Jordan Reid's a wee bit wild on the feet, and you don't want to leave yourself open against the power of Bruno Silva. Preferably, you want to, you know, get at the legs of Bruno Silva, try and wear him out with grappling, because he is a big, muscular guy, and fight him that way. You know, work him up against the cage or whatever. That's what Andrew Sanchez tried to do. Obviously, he fell short. But Jordan Reid's just not that guy. So he's not. You know, he's not that guy. He's a striker. And he's a bit wild on feet. I think he comes from a karate background, Jordan Reid. Something like that. Or Taekwondo or something like that. And when he fights, you can clearly see it. The Beverly Hills Ninja, as he's known. So, basically, I'm expecting Bruno Silva to put it on Jordan Reid here, and I'm expecting him to knock him out. So I am, fairly quickly, within the first 7 minutes. So, I think minus 340 fairly depicts this fight. So Bruno Silva by KO for me. Augusto Sakai versus Tai Tuivasa. I have to apologise as well on this one. I haven't actually looked into this fight yet. It's interesting that it's minus. Actually, Tuivasa's coming in as a slight favourite on some books right now. But pre-tape, obviously I know both these fighters very well, so they're right. Pre-tape, I have to go with Sakai. So I do. Just being the better overall fighter, being the, you know, more athletic, larger athlete, and just technically overall. But I need to look into it more. So don't, you know, don't take my words as scripture here, because I need to fully look into this. Because Tai Tuivasa, since he's came back, since he was, you know, he was let go after the specific fight by the UFC, and then they brought him back during the pandemic. Since he's came back, he's actually looked better. I think he started to work the low leg kick. That caused Struve big time problems. And then it caused Harry Hunsucker problems as well, big time. Greg Hardy, I don't think it was a factor really, but that was a short fight. Listen, Tai Tuivasa, he sort of relies on knocking these people out, but Sakai, you know, he only gets finished by the top guys. So saying that, Sakai early has only get finished by Jorginho, right? And Tai Tuivasa is no Jorginho. In the Overeem fight, basically Sakai was sort of winning that fight, and then Overeem went to his grappling and just pounded Sakai out, you know, made him tired and pounded him out, right? Tai Tuivasa's not going to do that. So he's not. Overall, Sakai's the better fighter, but I need to look into this fight properly, so I do, because styles style matchup, make fights. I do think the line's interesting, so maybe I will post in the comments of, after tape, who I think is the better bet and what's the value here and that type of stuff. What's it over at? It's set at 1.5, so, well, it actually came in at picking, and then it's get back down to -156, so I think that's interesting. I actually do think this probably goes over as well, because Tuivasa is not going to finish Sakai early. Can I see Sakai finishing Tuivasa early? No, not early. Maybe later on the fight, like past round 2. Past the 7.5 minute mark. Maybe. He does it. Listen, Sakai normally doesn't finish people early, apart from Tybura. So he doesn't. So let's see the average fight time for this fight. Obviously, Tuivasa is going to be, short, and then Sakai's going to be later. Yeah, so 11 minutes 31 for Sakai, average fight time, and then Tuivasa 6 minutes 37. So that's interesting, right? So Sakai obviously usually does it down, wee bit down the stretch, and then Tuivasa, my bad, relies on getting it done early mostly. I believe this fight will be contested on the feet, so I do. Listen, at that number, gun to my head, if I don't get it right, I die. In a predicament, I would pick Sakai here, so I would, gun to my head. Just with experience, better overall competition, better overall, technical skills, in my opinion. And better athlete and stuff. More well-rounded as well. If it goes down to a grappling, Sakai doesn't have a problem with that. Right, so I'll pick Sakai. I'll go with I'll go with third round TKO or something. Third round TKO. Might go to the decision. I don't know, but I'll pick Sakai there. Pre-tape. Post-tape, I'll post in the description who I think is the better pick here. Right, so moving on. Good fight. Pedro Muniz versus Dominic the Dominator Cruz. Right, so Pedro Muniz, what he's all about, especially in the last few years since the calf kicks came about, is basically pressure game. Sort of getting into wild exchanges, but his main weapon overall is the calf kick, right? But the thing is, if you watch the Jimmy Rivera fight, if you watch basically all of his last fights since the Sterling fight, well, to be fair, in the Garbrandt fight too, he likes, the calf kick opens up, and he likes when a fighter is in a heavy boxing orientated stance. So heavy on their lead leg, that's what Pedro Muniz likes. Because the calf kick, the lead leg calf kick is open for him there. And he's just going to go to the well with it, right? That's his preference. Dominic Cruz does not bring that same game, right? Dominic Cruz, yes, he is an orthodox fighter, right? But he's not going to be standing heavy on his lead leg for extended periods of time. He's just not going to do it. Whereas a guy like Jimmy Rivera, that's all he was doing. So that's why the calf kick works so well for Pedro Muniz against Jimmy Rivera. Dominic Cruz is more squared up stance, and he switches stance a lot, obviously, but he's mainly orthodox. If you watch him, he mainly throws out of orthodox stance, and then if he's going to shoot a takedown, sometimes it's from southpaw or whatever. Listen, he can fight southpaw, like predominantly, but mainly he fights out of orthodox while switching and squared up. So what I'm basically saying is here, I don't think the calf kick is going to be as prominent in this fight as it was in the Jimmy Rivera fight and Frankie Edgar fight and the Cody fight. I don't think so. Dominic Cruz, too smart. His stance, it's squared up and it's switching. The lead leg isn't going to be always there for Pedro Muniz, so he can't He can't rely on it. Basically, try and work that leg as well as he did against Rivera. So, see, to be honest, Dominic Cruz is underdog. He's coming in as underdog now. I would take him. I think Dominic Cruz decision is, what's the odds? I think that's a good bet, Oh, it's plus 175. Nah, fuck that. It's needed to be higher. Definitely needed to be higher. But I also like the over now. Right, so the over get bet down. The over has got bet now. So a lot of money's came in on the over, right? So basically, that's what one of the picks I got on earlier in the week for a bet is the over and the fight to go to decision. But factoring everything in that I said, I think Dominic Cruz, he can mix up the footwork, much better footwork than Muniz, much better, overall game, and I don't think the calf kick is going to be open for Muniz here. So I have to go with Cruz. I'm going to go with Cruz by decision. I think he's going to be too smart, too quick, and he's just going to get it done. He'll mix it up his takedowns as well. Alright, so Josh Hammett versus Donna is the next fight at 145 pounds. Good fight, this one. Josh Hammett, he's getting up there in age. He's 36 now. You kind of hope for him, for his sake, that he doesn't miss out on his prime. He doesn't miss out on the top fights, while he's going through his prime. That's sort of my concern for him. Now, I'm not saying he's wise or anything. What I'm saying is, basically, I think he's going to go through Donna here, right? So basically, I hope that, for his sake, his career, that UFC don't fucking give him... They don't... After he beats Donna, I hope they give him, like, a top 5 guy or something like that. Top 6, top 7 guy. So that he can show his true potential, show his true ceiling against the top contenders of this division, to see where he truly stands, before Father Time kicks in, basically, because he's 36 now. He's probably going to be 37 by the time he fights again. So his birthday's in March here, coming up in 3 months. So I basically put that to the side, right? In terms of style matchup and how this fight plays out, Donna is the type of fighter that wants to outpoint you, wants to work his jab, wants to use his footwork to get out of dangerous positions, mix up in the takedowns if he's in trouble on the feet, as we've seen against Barboza. As we've seen he tried to do against Cater, he couldn't get him down. The Gavin Tucker win, that's actually a very good win for Donna. That's like a wild win for him. Like, Gavin Tucker is someone I rate, so the way he just finished him in 1 round, that quickly, that's fair play. But while I do rate Donna, I just think Josh Hammett is a step above. I just think he's a level above Donna, so do. Josh Hammett, right, he comes from a wrestling background, trains at Team Alpha Male in Sacramento under Uriah Faber. Very good wrestler. I don't see him being taken down here by Donna. And the thing is as well, Josh Hammett is a specimen. He's a beast. He is so well built. He used to fight at catch weights of 165 pound in King of the Cage. Now he's obviously down at featherweight. He's down at featherweight now. I'll just zoom that in so it's easier for everyone to see. Don't know why I'm only doing that now, but yeah. So he's fighting at featherweight now, and he just looks like very strong, and just sort of physically dominating for this weight class. He's not the tallest, but in terms of physicality, I don't think you're gonna get much stronger at the minute than Josh Hammett. So Donna, as I said, he wants to try and outpoint Josh Hammett, in my opinion. Josh Hammett has got a beard on him. He's got a mad chin. So I don't see him being knocked out here by Ige. And you know, Josh Hammett actually has pretty good defense, in my opinion, because he's sort of boxing orientated. So basically, if you go in on him and you try and, hit him with a kill shot, you're just going to be left open for one of his bombs. And that's what he has in his hand. He has bricks that put people to sleep. He's a KO merchant, is Josh Hammett. And for a guy that's built like he is, for a guy that's, fast twitch, very, muscle heavy, with that, he does have good cardio. So he does, surprisingly. For someone that's built like that, he can swing bombs for 15 minutes, and he can fight like that. In the Burgos fight, that's exactly what he did. And he was on one knee. He was on one knee for the 14 minutes of that fight. 1 minute in that fight, I don't know what happened. He tried to switch up his movement, to work off something on the feet. And then he just basically hyperextended his knee. Just basically out of nowhere. It was weird. It was strange. So he was rendered on one knee for that whole fight after that. And he still got it done. He still pushed through it. I see as a sports bettor, that's someone I like. So it is that they're not a flake, they're not gonna quit after, like a big injury like that. They're gonna work their way through it, and they're gonna push through it and just grit the whole way through for the victory. That's what I like. That's what I love, actually. So that's the reason, basically, behind his big layoff between this fight and last fight. So that's basically why he's been out for, a year and 6 months now. So it's good that he's back in. It's good to see Josh Hammett back in the cage again. Basically, I think this fight is going to go. I think that Danny Gay, obviously the fight is going to early play off on the feet. Danny Gay's going to get touched. He's going to feel the power of Josh Hammett with one of those bombs, and he's not going to like it. He's going to do what he did in the Cater fight, which is basically like fight on the outside and try and get in desperately on takedown attempts, or try and double jab your way into takedown and try and outpoint. I just fight on the outside. But if you do that against Josh Hammett, it's more likely that he's gonna walk you down and he's gonna connect at one point. And there's just not many people who can take the shots Josh Hammett can, apart from Shane Burgos, who has a ungodly leg chin. And I think in recent years, Josh Hammett has came into his own. I actually think we're seeing the peak of Josh Hammett now. He just seems like more confident in his abilities, and he's sort of put everything together with regards to his defensive wrestling, and it's just overall striking in general as well on the feet. Like, he can outpoint you as well. He doesn't rely on getting the knockout. So yeah, so basically I see this fight playing out in the way the Kiera fight did. Danny getting touched, doesn't like it, starts the fight on the outside, tries to work his way into the grappling. Josh Hammett will be too big, defensive wrestling will be too strong, and either he will get on top of Danny from a shot of Danny, so he'll be like sprawled, and Josh Hammett will transition him to, I don't know, half guard, or basically the Josh Hammett's on top, and then he can win rounds through that way. Or more than likely, Danny Gay's going to go in, he's going to get desperate, and he's going to get caught, and he's going to get his lights put out. Now, saying that, Danny Gay does have a good chin on him, very good chin. So it wouldn't surprise me if this one went the distance. He's never been knocked out, but the thing is, he hasn't fought a guy like Josh Hammett yet, has he? So with this one, I'm going to take Josh Hammett by KO. I think he stamps his mark down on the top 10 of this division, and he, gets himself, puts his name out there in the top 10 for once and all. So Josh Hammett by KO with that one. Right, so Sean O'Malley versus Julian Paiva. Good fight. See, to be fair, I am higher on Paiva as a fighter than most people are. So I am. I think he's a gritty, determined fighter with good stand-up skills. He's good on the feet. And let me just see his defensive wrestling. I think it's, from memory, it's good. Yeah, so it is. So Kyler Phillips, he hit takedowns on it, but Paiva got up, so he did. Paiva got up after Phillips took him down, and he ended up actually winning that fight, despite almost being KO'd in the first round. But listen, see when you watch Sean O'Malley's tape, the guy's just too accurate. He's sort of, obviously it's a cliche comparison, but just his accuracy in general on the feet, not necessarily his power, but his accuracy and precision, it does remind me of McGregor in a way, early McGregor at featherweight. See when he hits these guys, the shots are just so precise, always on the chin, and just straight punches, always just perfectly accurate, basically what I'm trying to say. So, like, I just think that Sean O'Malley's just going to be too much for Paiva on the feet here. I think he's going to find the chin, but I think it goes over. So I do. I think this one actually goes over. I do think it goes over 1.5 rounds. 2.5, I'm not sure. So actually, Muniz came in on the over 2.5 rounds recently, because when I seen it, it was up at plus 120. So Muniz came in on it. Overall, it's hard not to say Sean O'Malley KO here, but I do think it goes over 1.5 rounds. So basically, it's a hard one in terms of method. Listen, I'm gonna outright pick Sean O'Malley, so I am here. I think his striking's gonna be too much for Paiva, and he's just gonna work him. He's just gonna work him on the feet. But I don't like the thought of betting the over here. It's too much of a sweat. With a full capacity crowd in a stadium, Sean O'Malley's going to be going for the KO here. But Paiva's a tough bastard, so he is. Julian Paiva is a hard guy to knock out. Never been knocked out yet, so he hasn't. He had the doctor stoppage against Banterine, but he wasn't even hurt in that fight. In the Phillips fight, he was hurt. He got knocked down twice. So that's kind of a cause for concern, like going in against O'Malley. So listen, he could get knocked out here, but overall I expect this to go over 1.5 rounds. I'm just not sure whether it's going to be round 3 TKO or maybe late round 2 or decision. If I was forced to pick, I would pick decision, just with how tough Paiva is and his pressure game, because that's what Sean O'Malley, yes, he can't fight in the back foot. He does still retain the same power on the back foot, but his best work is done when he's pressuring a fighter, like pressuring him behind the back lines, and he has you in his reach, at his range, such as the Eddie Wendland fight. But when you pressure him and force him to back up, that's when his striking is less optimal and less effective. But at the same time, it still works. He still catches people when they're coming forward, But basically, if you want to fight Sean O'Malley on the feet, you better be prepared to walk him down and be willing to take those shots, get in close, and whether it's you want to clinch him up against the cage or just fight him in the pocket because he is very long. That's what Chris Moutinho did. And Chris Moutinho, he got pieced up, but he did have some success with that style. So O'Malley's striking isn't as effective when he's being backed up. So Paiva's style might mitigate some of the power that O'Malley has in that regard with his pressure style, but at the same time, when you watch tape, the Moutinho fight, he'll still catch you on the back foot. He'll still find that chin. So I'll go with O'Malley by decision, but he definitely could knock out Paiva here. Kai Kara-France up next against Cody Garbrandt. Now for me, this is a hard fight to cap. There's just questions. Like, I don't like betting fights with big question marks on them, such as the Miranda Maverick and Aaron Blanchfield fight. This fight to me falls under the same category. This fight is Cody Garbrandt's first fight, as many of you know, at 125. We don't know how he'll look, but listen, as I tweeted out earlier in the week, I think it'll be fine. I think that Cody Garbrandt wasn't the biggest bantamweight, barely cut much weight for it. I think he's going to make 125 no problems. But at the same time, you wonder how he rebounds. So either you just, he got COVID before the Rob Font fight, and his cardio looked very bad in that fight. But my thinking in that, in terms of that fight, is that the grappling exchanges of Garbrandt early, when he didn't like the striking of Font, he chose to grapple with him. And Font, just being the bigger guy, sort of tiring out Garbrandt in that regard with the grappling. Even though Cody shot on him, I believe that Cody, trying to get Font down, just wore him out, made his arms heavy, and that's why he looked so fatigued in that fight. Plus the COVID, because he did have long COVID after that. He complained about it. He had it affected his lungs. So listen, I don't know how this fight is going to play out. I taped it, and I just wasn't confident on either side. In my opinion, these are the type of guys you would expect Garbrandt to get past. Despite it being at 125 in the division, these are the guys that I think that he should have enough skills to win. He won't struggle with the speed at all. Actually, in this fight, Garbrandt might be the quicker fighter between the two, because he's so fast. But listen, Garbrandt's just one of those guys that once he gets touched on the feet, he just sees red. He didn't in the Font fight, to be fair, but with it, this is a big factor you have to consider in this fight. It's a sold-out crowd. Garbrandt, who knows if he'd be able to keep his composure this time, like he did against Font. That was in the Apex. He could hear his corner in that one. There wasn't a big a big screaming crowd that there's going to be at this event. Where is it? It's the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, right? So sold-out crowd. How much does it hold? Like 45,000. Can Garbrandt keep his composure? I don't know if it, because Kai Kara-France will most likely, he'll find him at some point on the feet, so he will. And there's been a good lot of trash talk, with this fight. So I don't know how it's gonna play it. Don't blame anyone for taking Kara-France at the number he's at, plus 120. I don't blame him. But at the same time, I think that Garbrandt, these are the type of guys he normally got past, so it is. It's a hard one to pick. It's a very hard one to pick. I'll go with Garbrandt by decision. Not confident either way. I don't really have a big read on that fight, to be honest. Next up, Santiago Ponzinembio versus Jeff Hands of Steel Neal, right? Jeff Neal's last two performances, a lot to be desired since he came into the UFC. Sorry, I mean, with his performances, his last two performances in comparison to his performances when he came into the UFC, not great in comparison. Struggled with activity in the Magny fight. Couldn't really get going, flat-footed. Whereas if you look at Ponzinembio, yes, he did get knocked out by Li Jingliang, but he rebounded against Miguel Baeza. He toughed through that fight. His lead calf was gone after the first round in that fight, and he toughed through it, and he just gritted his way through it. So that's fighters I like to bet. Is Jeff Neal low output, flat footed, couldn't really get anything going, and his two performances haven't been great. He just struggled. I think he might be losing confidence. Nah, I just don't know how Jeff Neal is going to rebound here. But at the same time, you look over at the Ponzinembio side, you have a wee bit more confidence in him, so you do. With his recent performance, much respect for him to got through the Baeza fight like he did. And he showed that, he still has it. I think his prime was 4 or 5 years ago, but he still has it. So he does. So I can see why Ponzinembio has become the favourite here. So I do. I can see why the money's came on him. What I like in this fight, to be honest, is the over 1.5 rounds, minus 155 it is. I like that. And I also like Ponzinembio. I'm not betting him or anything, but I would be more confident in him in this fight. And I'll go with by decision to beat Jeff Neal. Alright, up next, Amanda Nunes, the Lioness versus Juliana Pena. So, this is DC and John Anik, Paul Felder said after the Megan Anderson fight of Nunes, it was a non-event. A non-event, right? So, basically that's a term used in wrestling when events, wrestling matches are so uncompetitive, or they're just called a non-event. The fight was so uncompetitive that it was insignificant. It didn't tell us entirely a lot because of that. Well, it did, but you know what I'm getting at. So Amanda Nunes, I feel like she's just gonna run through Juliana Pena here. So I do. She is just far too much for Pena on the feet. And even if it goes to the ground, she's a better grappler in my opinion. Basically, Juliana Pena is fucked here, is basically what I'm trying to say. She's talked away in this fight, fair play to her, for, grabbing the bag like that. But Nunes is just... We haven't seen a bantamweight like Nunes before. She's the quote greatest woman of all time in MMA. Finished Rousey, finished Tate, finished Cyborg, finished Holm, wins over Shevchenko twice, the random. Juliana Pena, striking isn't great at all, not one bit. Nunes has such a big advantage there that it's gonna be crazy. The thing Pena needs to do early, clinch, try to wear Nunes down, but at the same time, Nunes is just stronger out of the two, physically. So, Juliana Pena, I don't think she's going to realise any success with the clinch game or anything. So, most likely this fight's just going to be contested on the feet from the outset. I can just see Nunes putting her away early, viciously. Another vicious KO from Nunes in round 1. Nunes does love round 1, so she does. She comes out hot. She's always done that, so I can see her doing it here again, finishing Pena, shutting her up, and winning by TKO. She could sub her as well. What I'm interested in here, to be honest, out of all the round props of this card, I like the under here. Not gonna lie, especially since the over's getting bet. I gotta be honest, I like the under here. I just think Nunes just wants to put on a show, wants to inflict damage on Pena, whose striking is just 10 stories below Nunes's. So it is. And Nunes gonna fuck her up, basically. So to be honest, I like the under. Considering a unit on it or so, I don't know. If I can get a plus 120 here in Ireland, then I would consider it. Um, I would consider it, so I would. But let's see how it goes. So Nunez is just going to destroy her. There's not much to be said. So there isn't, to be honest. So Nunez round 1 TKO for the Lioness. Alright, main event. Charles do Bronx, the champ, Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier. Great fight, this one. It's so good that we're seeing this tomorrow. So good. Dustin Poirier, or sorry, Charles Oliveira, we'll start with. I mean, people sleep on Charles Oliveira's all-round game. When I watched tape for this fight, I wanted to bet Poirier because I thought, well, obviously he can, and he most likely will, cause problems with Oliveira on the feet. Oliveira can definitely get this fight to the ground. Like, from what I remember from Oliveira before taping this fight, is that he relied on getting people down just through like hurting people on the feet, snatching on the darts, like Luke does, or something like that. But he actually does have takedowns. He actually has good takedowns. So he took Ferguson down 3 times, I think. Body lock once, single leg once, and I can't remember the third one. So he loves the body lock, so he does. And then in the Chandler fight, what's he do against the NCAA Division 1 or 2 for Chandler? I can't remember. Just hits him with a double leg. Chandler hurt him on the feet. And then Charles just shoots a double leg, takes him down easily, right? So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Oliveira hits multiple takedowns on Poirier. And basically he can wear on him. Like, obviously Khabib and Oliveira, 2 different animals, so they are. Obviously the last 2 lightweight champions, but different animals in terms of wrestling and pressure game and all that. But listen, what's the number for Oliveira right now? Plus 125, you can get him at plus 130 at some other places. Listen, I don't blame people for taking that number. So I don't. If there was someone I would want to bet here, probably be Oliveira, because I just think he has more ways to win. He's by far the better grappler, and his wrestling game's underrated. And while Poirier, amazing striker on the feet, amazing striker, I think he still can be taken down. So I don't think his defensive wrestling is, at the ceiling, at Jose Aldo level. I don't think it is at that type of level. Hooker took him down 4 times. Nurmagomedov took him down 7 times. Don't get me wrong, Dan Hooker has good grappling, underrated grappling, but Charles Oliveira has much better grappling than Dan Hooker. So see, to be honest, Charles Oliveira is coming in the zone, and since his days of featherweight, he's just looked a different beast. He looks much bigger nowadays. He looks like he's worked, he's grew his way into the weight class from starting off basically in the UFC, basically as a boy in 2010, so 11 years ago, coming up to 12 next month. Basically as a boy back then to a man, a man's body at lightweight now, and just so well rounded. Yes, listen, Poirier does have the better striking, no contest. Boxing wise, definitely, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, Charles can mix up his striking in that he can survive and he can score points on the feet. Because if you watch his fights, he does have a good kicking game. He comes from like a Muay Thai striking background, and he pieced up Kevin Lee, so he did when he fought him back in March 2020. pieced up Kevin Lee on the feet, and early as well. Even while Kevin Lee was fresh, he still pieced him up. And then obviously he knocked out Chandler, so he did, even though he was in trouble in round one that fight. But what that fight told me is that Charles Oliveira, back in his featherweight days, yes, he did flake and he did quit, so to speak. But now, I think he's put that past him. He's matured now. He's up at 155. He's more durable. This is what Poirier needs to do to win this fight, I believe, is to pressure Charles from the get-go, make him uncomfortable with his striking, and be on the front foot. Because if he's on the front foot and he's not as vulnerable to being taken down by Oliveira, so Dustin needs to walk Charles down and put him against the fence, where Poirier just unloads on combinations. He's so good against the fence, Poirier, as we've seen in the McGregor fight and in the Max Holloway fight. He's so good against the fence with his combinations and his boxing, his dirty boxing, everything. This is a great fight, to be fair. Great fight. I just can't wait to see it. Listen, in terms of betting ways, what I'm going to do is just enjoy this fight. If I was to bet someone here, or bet something, it would probably be, I don't know. I wouldn't bet the under 2.5. Listen, I don't think it's just going to the judges' scorecards at all, but at the same time, I don't know. With round props, if under 3.5 is a better number, yes. It's minus 200. Actually, that's not bad, Minus 188, that's not bad, So it's not. See if that gets down to minus 150, I might have a pop at that. So that's the under 3.5 rounds. So under halfway of the 4th round. That'll hit. That'll definitely hit. Right. Overall, in conclusion with this matchup, lightweight title on the line. In terms of a pick, betting ways, I would prefer, at the value there is, I would bet Oliveira, but I cap Poirier as the slight favourite here. I would say that Poirier should be like a minus 130, minus 125, around there. That's fair to me. Minus 125, right? So Poirier minus 125, Oliveira plus 100. So that means if you're betting Charles here, you're getting a plus 38 margin over the bookies in terms of your handicapping and in terms of mine. So that would lead me to believe that Oliveira would probably be the value side here, most likely, judging by the handicapping. But in terms of an actual pick, gun to my head, if you get it wrong, you die. I would pick Poirier here. So weird. I just think Poirier's such a durable guy to the point where I can't see him being knocked out at this weight class. So I can't, unless his chin goes. And also I think that he's one of those guys, he's never gonna flake. I'm not saying Charles will. But he could do, Charles could do. If the going gets tough and Poirier brings out the dog, Charles could see the easy way out. I think those days are behind him, but if there's someone that's going to fight to the death between these two, it's going to be Poirier. So it is. Listen, value said Oliveira at the odds currently, but gun to my head, if I had to pick one to survive, it would be Poirier. And I'll say by TKO. But listen, what odds is Charles' submission right now? Yes, by the way, I do like the minus Sorry, under 3.5 rounds, minus 188. Maybe that keeps going down. That'll be good, you know. See if that goes down to minus 150, I'll probably bet that. What's the charge by sub? Let me see if I can find it here, because I think that'll be interesting. Where the fuck is that? Charge by sub, come on here. Oliveira wins inside distance, plus 215, not bad. Oliveira by decision, plus 300, whoa. Plus 300's good, you know. Plus 300 is good for submission. Because if he is going to win, it's going to be by submission. It's not going to be knockout, I feel like. And I don't see it going to the judges' scorecard, so plus 300, that's wild. What you could do here is bet plus 300 Oliveira submission, and then bet plus 140 Poirier TKO. And if you manage your units correctly, you can make profit either way by doing that. So you could, if you do it properly, if you sit down and figure out the units. Right, so that's about it. So overall prediction, I'll go with Poirier TKO, but betting ways, I would take Oliveira at the odds, and I like the under 3.5. And in terms of method prop, charge, sub, not bad. So it's a hard one to pick there. I would go 55-45 Poirier at the minute for me in terms of handicapping. Right, so that wraps up the card. And I did say I was going to show you my bet. The bet I have for this card. So I did. Right, so if we just look at my recent results here, since September 25th, or let's just say since Houston, since UFC 265, 4 months ago, shit my bad, UFC 265, so 3.2 units, so 2.28, so what would that be, 2.28, 4, so 5 units, 6 units, 8.8, or 8.2, 9.3, 10.3, 10.8, 12. So I'm up 12 units in pre-fight bets since August, so not bad. So I'm looking to continue the form with this pay-per-view, and it is what it is. We keep moving, so we keep moving. So this is the bet I have for the card. So went with Muniz minus 800. I think the current odds now, I think Muniz should be like minus 1200 or something, minus 1300. I think minus 800 was even short. And I also like Pedro Muniz for Dominic Cruz to go to decision. So I'll do. Now, I think you can still get those odds, minus 122 at Paddy Power. I think you can still get those odds at Irish and UK bookies. But I think they've been bet down at American books, so you would be having to pay a wee bit more juice on the American sites if you're, from there, on that, my bet there. So that is my bet for the card. It's my only bet so far, but I probably will. I'm waiting on the lanes moving, because that's what happens with these big pay-per-views. The lanes move on fight day and up until the first fight. So we'll see how it goes with that. Might have a couple of other bets, but I think I'll only have one more. So I'll let you know how it goes. But yeah, overall, that wraps up the prediction video. It's been good doing this. Listen, I won't do this for, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Might do it for every pay-per-view, I don't know. I can't guarantee anything. I'm just doing it because I like ending the year doing something I did, last year. I like wrapping the year up like this. I don't know, it completes the year a wee bit better in terms of betting overview and, high I can move forward, stuff like that. So I'm always looking to improve. So yeah, that's about it. I'll not be doing any memberships until 2022, January 2022. So we'll have a bit of break here after the Chris Daukaus, yes, and Derek Lewis card on the 17th next week, or something like that. So we'll have a month break after that. Then that's probably when I'll open memberships up again. So yeah, that wraps up the card. I'll see you again shortly. Don't know when, but yeah, I'll see you then.